Inside your bedroom, we stopped counting the days, lost in the rhythm.
Hi, hello. My name is Amy Prokopis, and I am an author of romantasy and paranormal romance books, always with a little bit of spice. This is my, I would say maybe like quarterly Q&A video. I do a Q&A/book trailer video just before every single book release. I have done that forever and ever. It just kind of became a tradition, and I love this video. It is so much fun. I don't do Q&As very often, and it's just really fun to update you guys because sometimes things in my publication, not really my process, but occasionally I do things differently for each release. And so it's kind of fun to chat about those differences and just, I don't know, chat and explain things that maybe you guys have questions about. I don't know. Let's get into the questions. Let's go ahead and chat. First, it may be important to tell you guys that all these questions that I'm answering have come from YouTube comment sections, but primarily from social media, primarily Instagram. I put out one of those stickers in my Instagram story. I did that twice this week, ask me anything. I'm going to do a Q&A video this week. So that is where these questions have come from. Pretty much all of them this time around came from Instagram. I didn't really have them elsewhere, but I also really only advertised them on Instagram this time. So that is where these are coming from. So if you were just curious how to have your questions answered, because maybe you're thinking of one, go check out the links below. Follow me on social media. Make sure especially you're following me on Instagram and join my Patreon, because everyone on my Patreon gets first dibs. So any questions that come through Patreon, I absolutely include first and foremost in videos. You can be a free Patreon member and you get the weekly Wednesday writing update where I tell you what I've been working on, how far I am into the process, and I share some sneaky peeks in that post that you only get there in the Wednesday writing update on Patreon. So that is completely free. Check that out below. Join as a free member. You can upgrade to the $5 tier and you get early access to videos. I'm trying to do a better job posting these early there. You also get other sneak peeks behind the scenes. You get the publishing chat on Thursday. I call it my pub chat, which is a video where I discuss changes in my in the world of publishing, things I'm doing differently. There's some crossover with the Wednesday writing update, except it's deeper. And occasionally I put PDFs out and other helpful tools and tips that I use as an author in the publishing process to help better my craft. So now that that's all out of the way, here's the video. Question number one. Question number one came immediately to me when I posted this, and that is, how long did it take to write Curse of Blood and Sight? I had a timeline for myself. What I've typically done in the past is I've been able to do the first draft of all of my books in just about a month. That is usually the process that I have done it in. However, with Curse of Blood and Sight and the book before, Trial of Flame and Wings, it took me a lot longer to write those books. I was much closer to the deadlines I had set for myself. I actually am really, really thankful that when I create my publishing timeline, I actually block out extra windows of time. That way, I have always in the past used it for promotional things and just fun stuff that way. And then also so I can get a little bit of a break, even though I go antsy, go crazy, and I don't really want the break. I end up finding stuff to do anyway. But I'm glad that I went ahead and scheduled that way, because this last year I have ended up needing a little bit more time to write my books, and they're not any longer than my books before. Trial of Flame and Wings was. So it made sense to me when I realized it was going to take me longer to write it. But then when I started writing Curse of Blood and Sight over the summer, and suddenly it was July and then going into August, I realized, or it wasn't going into August, but it was taking me longer to write it than just the month I had set aside. I started to worry that this was becoming the new normal I have thoughts on that. I actually am thinking about doing a video very soon. I have set myself a new goal for 2026 and I'm doing a trial run of it. And now that I'm doing a trial run of it, I think I have enough to say, more than what I would cover in my usual setting my 2026 goals, that I think I may do a separate video on it. I'm thinking about batching some stuff into that one video, specifically that I think would be beneficial to those of you authors, especially those of you who follow me on Patreon and make use of my publishing chat videos and such. So more on that may be coming. But overall, I think it took me at least 2 to 3 months to write Curse of Blood and Sight, the first draft. So much longer than it usually takes me. Question number 2 is not really a Curse of Blood and Sight question, but I have not come back around to this, and so I thought it would be perfect to include it in the video since somebody had asked me. Question number 2 is, if you are not going to publish another Seasons of Witches book in the next year, this question was worded differently, but I'm rephrasing. So previously I had said that once I finish Snow at Sunset, which is the final book in the winter series from the Season of Witches series, I had said I'm going to take a pause from that series because I had other projects that were just itching to be told. And I needed to sit down and better plan out the series because I still had not fully decided which season I was going to jump into next. So yes, I'm still taking a pause after I publish Snow at Sunset in December because I had an idea that came to me very strongly. And then I sat on it a little bit, as I typically do, and let it develop in my brain, let the characters come into my head, let them play in some scenes. And usually at that point, if I'm still thinking about it and it's still nagging me, it is an idea that is going to stick around that I will write about. So that is what happened. I knew immediately what the whole series was about. I knew immediately it was a duology, which is not something I've ever written. And I knew exactly where it fit into the scheme of this world. And so yes, I am pausing Season of Witches and I am pausing it to write this duology, and I'm not ready to commit any kind of answers to this, but I will say that this duology fits into this world / mythology of Curse of Wings, the vampire series, and Guardians of the Sixth Gate. It crosses over into this world I have built of the supernatural that is separate from Season of Witches. So my darker books, all of them have some overlapping. The characters don't necessarily connect or meet up. A lot of them aren't even set in the same places. This series is set in a similar environment to one of the others I have already written, and it is the same mythology. So it is a paranormal romance with spice, of course. I think it may even be a spicier book than some that I have written, and I plan on writing it. I would love to have both of them in the duology done in 2024 and just rapid release this duology. But I don't know, given the previous question we answered with my writing schedule, I don't know that it is possible for me to release both of them and also still release book 3 in the Curse of Wings series and book 2 in Trials from the Great Mother. So that would be 4 books in 2026, and I don't know that I can do it that quick. I would love to. Oh my gosh, guys, it's killing me. I would love to. I've even considered pushing my timeline out a little bit. That way I can still rapid release these books since they are duologies, because I do want to release them together, but I don't know. On to the next question. Somebody asked me about YA. So they asked, would I ever consider going back to YA? And the answer is no. I don't think I would. And it's crazy because at some point in my life when I was first starting as an author, especially as I was writing, I thought I was so suited for young adult. And I started to write young adults. All of the books I came into my brain were young adults. And I think a lot of that is strictly because I personally have grown up. I'm not a young adult anymore. I am very much an adult, and the books and the stories I want to tell now are not those same characters. And even when I think back to some of the past series that I've been sitting on and have sort of gone back and forth between deciding if this is a book that is just for me, for my development as a young author, or if this is a book that I will someday publish, when I go back to think about some of those past stories that were so formative to me being an author now, if I were to rewrite them now for publication, I think that I would grow up the characters. I think I would write them totally differently, and it would be an adult series. So, and given what I write, since I am writing so much adult things with like spicy things, it just doesn't seem like it would work anymore for me to go back to writing young adult. If I did, I feel like I would have to publish things under a different pen name, and I don't want to mess with having another branch to my publishing tree, essentially. So I don't think I will ever go back to young adult books. I love the young adult books I've written. I love Guardians of the Sixth Gate, and the mythology from Guardians of the Sixth Gate definitely inspired so much more that I am building on now. It inspired all of the background and mythology for my Curse of Wings series, and they can totally be read separately. They're separate series for a reason. But I just don't think, I don't think I would go back to that. I may change that answer down the road. Maybe somebody will ask this in a future Q&A and my answer will be different. But I think I have just outgrown that phase of my career, and I just want to continue to grow, develop, and see what else is out there and challenge myself. So no, I probably will not. Gosh, I can't believe it, but I've already lost what number of questions we are on. I'm pretty sure it's 4. I know it's not very many, so forgive me. This is a good one. Somebody asked where I get my inspiration for my spicy scenes, and honestly, the answer to this is not what I think a lot of people would say, and I'm going to give you guys an example from Curse of Blood and Sight. So sit tight, sit back, get excited, because this is a sneak peek. So one of the very first scenes for Curse of Blood and Sight that I absolutely knew was going to be in the book was early in the book. My characters we already know the book set in New Orleans. So they've just gotten to New Orleans and they're going to this gala, this witchy gala. Angel and Lily are. And they have kind of a bit of fun, romantic time in an elevator, very briefly, because elevator trips are not long. So it's a tease is what it is in this elevator. And I thought when I first was developing this book and the plot for this book, I really thought that scene was going to be one of the spicier ones that I included in this book. And I was so wrong. And that brings me to the answer to this question, which is, how do you get inspiration for your spicy scenes? And the truth is, they just come to me. And that's the stupidest answer ever. But I will have everything plotted out. I'm a pantser and a plotter a little bit. And so it's a loose outline. And so I know some of the events that happen in the stories. I don't plot out any of the spice. I don't plot it out. It just comes naturally, depending on the circumstances those characters are in. Sometimes I know there's going to be a tense moment or there's going to be a spicy moment somewhere in this area of the book, like chapter 1, chapter 2, between the two, that kind of stuff. But I don't always know what that looks like. I let my characters lead that, and I really lean into their personal tastes and their interests, and I let that lead the way. I just put myself in their shoes, think what would they do in this circumstance, and sometimes they do spicy things. So that is where my inspiration comes from, is directly from those characters. So I honestly don't always know what's going to happen until I put them in the scene, and that happened a lot with Curse of Blood and Sight. It is a ton spicier than Curse of Wings and Darkness. There were so many scenes where I would just be writing the plot, Lily and Angel would be someplace together, and I just knew, like, this is what they're doing right now. I just knew it. And so to answer the question, that's how I get inspiration. What I thought, this elevator scene, what I thought was going to be the spiciest scene of the book is maybe like the third spiciest scene in this entire book. So I am going to turn bright red. Let's move on to the next question. There were a couple really fun ones in here. I'm going to kind of combine them. One of the questions was, what is your favorite drink? Somebody else asked if I have a favorite writing snack or drink. And so I'm just going to combine them because there were a couple that were similar that I think were kind of in the same vein. And the way that I ramble, I figured I'd end up answering them all at once anyway. So I love coffee. I drink it almost the entire day. I think it's also because I have an ADHD diagnosis, and for me, that caffeine does not affect me the same. It actually kind of mellows me out and keeps me on the straight and narrow. That's not the term I mean. It keeps me focused and it keeps me focused. So I drink coffee pretty much exclusively. I don't put any cream or sugar in it. I drink it black, and I like the dark roasts. I like a good Colombian roast. So coffee is by far my favorite drink, but anymore, I really like the orange Coke Zero, and I cannot believe that I like it because it's the orange cream Coke soda or Coke Zero. I can't believe I like it because I hate orange. I hate anything orange flavored. I really do. I just do not like it. And orange soda is my absolute least favorite drink in the world, I think. I hate it, but I really like orange Coke Zero. I often have that at some point, like later in the afternoon. Sometimes if I'm having a late writing night, I will pull out that if I want to kick a caffeine but don't want to make the coffee. So I like that. And sometimes if I'm drafting, not really when I'm editing, but if I'm drafting at night, sometimes I will have a glass of red wine because I am a red wine fan as well. As for snacks, chips. Chips and salsa are great, but it's hard to eat chips and salsa while you're writing a book, typing away at the computer. So typically just some plain tortilla chips are great. Sometimes some popcorn while I'm writing. Another question was how many books are in the Curse of Wings series? I believe there will be 4. That is what I am planning. And now I am far enough into series planning that I am fairly certain that there will be 4 books. I have not settled on the title for book 3, and I really have not for book 4. I have a loose one for book 4. I'm missing part of the title for book 3. Don't ask me what they are. I think I will be putting up a Kindle pre-order the same day of the release for Curse of Blood and Sight, which is October 1st. So you will have some place to go and pre-order that book at a discount, just like I did with Curse of Blood and Sight. That way you won't miss it and you don't have to worry about checking in. That way you don't have to worry about it. But I don't think that it may have a title to it yet. When I launch that, it may just be a pre-order page on Kindle that is Curse of Wings series book 3. I haven't gotten this question in a while, and somebody asked me, but it wasn't a response to the question prompts. Somebody had made a comment. Where was I? It was on one of the social media platforms, and somebody had made a comment about writing as a mom, and we were having a nice conversation about it. And so I'm going to include it here, which is how do you find time to write as a mom? And the truth is, I don't know. And everyone laughs when I say that in my personal life, professional life. When people find out I'm an author and they ask me, the answer is I don't know. And what I tell them is, if you care about something deeply enough and you really want it for yourself, you find a way. And that is kind of the truth behind how I find my time anymore. And this is where kind of my new experiment for writing has come in that I'm going to make a separate video about, that goes hand in hand with my new writing routine and my 2026 goals. You just find the time. And most of the time for me, it is in the evening, late in the evening. And so what I end up doing is, quite honestly, I will be really tired and I just commit to an hour late at night. I sit down, I will do an hour, and honestly, when you are highly motivated to write, even though you may not feel like an hour is enough time, you will find that, and I think this is true for most people, if you're really motivated to get something done and you only have a set, like if you're on a deadline, somehow things come together and you make it happen, at least for me. So I actually write a little bit better, I'm finding, when I am under shorter deadlines like this. And so my new method for tackling and finding time for writing has honestly just been to see my extra time as opportunities for writing. So I'm also a therapist. If I have a client cancel and suddenly I have an hour free, I will make the decision between doing some therapy things, or I will commit to an hour of writing sprints. And I usually get a ton of things done by writing under these like really tight time frames. And so you just make it happen. For me, in the past, it was always writing in the evenings and just dealing with the fact that I was going to be tired most days. And that the only compromise was that I could sleep in on Saturdays. So if you want to make it happen, you figure it out. And I don't know, you just find the time. You just make the time. And that means sacrifices in whatever way that looks like for you. I think you just truly find the time. Somebody asked if I was planning any new books. So outside of what I'm already writing in my series, am I planning any new books for 2026? I already sort of answered this, but I thought it'd be fun to give you guys a sneaky peeky. So I already told you guys that I am pausing Season of Witches because I really want to write this new duology that fits into the mythology already set up with my Curse of Wings and Guardians of the Sixth Gate series. So I'm planning that duology, and I would like to at least publish one of those within the 2026 calendar year. Yeah, still up in the air about pushing for a fourth. Don't really know that that's going to happen, so I'm not going to stress myself about it. But I am planning that, which is a new series, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek because I do have a lot of projects in the works that are brand new, that will be brand new. I don't think they'll come in 2026 and maybe not even in 2027, but I plan to make a shift from what I am publishing to I have a couple. Which one do I want to share? I have a couple. I'm thinking I have a series surrounding witches. Do I want to drop another one? I'm a paranormal author. I have a lot of them. I'm also planning to write about ghosts. So that is it for the video. I have a ton I could talk about the future of Amy Prokopis Publishing. That could be a whole video on its own. But for the Q&A portion of this video, I'm going to leave it at just those few really fun ones. Just a few things about me, things maybe you didn't know about me, and things I like. A little bit about Curse of Blood and Sight with some sneak peeks of that book, plus a future look at things coming in 2026 and beyond from me as an author. So that's a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for following along. Make sure you check all the links below. Follow me on social media because again, I post a lot of content to Instagram, but also join Patreon for free so you can get some exclusives there that I don't post anywhere else. And consider upgrading to the $5 tier for more weekly freebies and exclusive content. So that is me. We are going to move on. So I'm gonna tune out here. I'm gonna say goodbye, and then it's on to the book trailer for Curse of Blood and Sight. This book releases October 1st. I am so excited. It continues the Curse of Wings series, which follows Angel and Lily. Angel is a vampire, desperate. He's desperate to be mortal again, and especially so after meeting Lily Thompson, who is human and a seer, and he wants to have a mortal life with her. They run into other supernatural things along the way, other problems, crazy stuff from their past comes back, and of course there is a lot of spice involved. So I cannot wait to release this book October 1st. You can pre-order it now on Kindle for $2.99, which is $3 less than the full price. Pre-order price is cheaper. After release day on October 1st, the Kindle price will increase to $5.99. So make sure to go and pre-order so you don't miss out on the deal. It is linked below. And that is all I will give. We're going to go on. I'm too excited. Oh my gosh. So we're going to end things here and move on to the book trailer. Read books. Be kind. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.